Police officer consistently ranks in the top 5 of the most stressful jobs in America. And other first responders like EMTs and physicians and firefighters are not far behind. Dealing with that stress and avoiding burnout or worse is a constant struggle. Steve Shaw recently returned from a seminar in Seminole County that offers help. Steve.
Rich, they are called post-critical incident seminars. There are a handful of these each year around the state. They're off limits to us, the media, to everybody except their peers and trained professionals who want to help.
You're a mess. You're a mess.
Will is a therapy dog and may be the most popular member of the Oklahoma City Police Department. Will and his partner, Master Sergeant Scott Pope, were part of the support staff this week at the Warriors Rest Post-Critical Incident Seminar at St. Crispin's Camp in Wewoka.
Unfortunately, some things stick. So, we always kind of teach that we believe that, maybe humans aren't necessarily designed to see some of the trauma that first responders see. We're not designed to see death. We're not designed to have to force to take somebody's life. And that stuff sticks.
Pope is a 23-year veteran of the OKCPD and says his own experience with trauma on the job years ago made him angry. It's known as post-traumatic stress disorder.
You could be hypervigilance is a word we use a lot. So you have a higher state of awareness that never seems to go away. Like if you're at the state fair or something, and or at a game and it's super crowded, the inability to relax because you have so much hypervigilance of what's going around you, your physical awareness of what's around you, and you don't enjoy a intense crowd. Problems sleeping. There could be some substance abuse.
The Post-Critical Incident Seminar lasts 4 days here at St. Crispin's. First responder participants share their experiences in a group setting, but one-on-one help with a licensed counselor is available as well. Executive Director Brett Key started the Warriors Rest nonprofit foundation 4 years ago, just as he was finishing a 27-year career with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. He says Warriors Rest is developing what he calls peer teams in 35 departments of first responders so far statewide. Those teams are trained to identify co-workers who are struggling due to something they've been through on the job. He says their challenge right now is reaching rural departments across the state.
We've seen a huge need in these teams being proactive instead of reactive. For the longest time, we've had peer support, but it's we wait for something bad to happen and then we go in and try to clean up what was there. And it's normally not us just dealing with the trauma that's at hand right there. Once we get in there and start talking, normally there's traumas and stuff that come up from the past, whether it be from that first responder's childhood or something that's going on in a marriage or just from the other traumas that they see day in, day out with the job. So we've we want a proactive approach now.
22 first responders were participants at the event this week. The lodge on the property where the attendants stay doesn't have TVs. Cellular phone coverage is spotty, so distractions were minimal. Participation private. The seminars are funded by a state grant and private donors.
And it all makes sense once you know this stuff. It's just you don't know what you don't know.
Lexington Fire Chief Trent Mitchell attended the Post-Critical Incident Seminar here last April.
I think you can realize that you're not that monster that you made out in your mind, that there's people out there that want to help you and that can help you, and not that you excuse your behavior or create excuses for your behavior, but it makes sense a lot better in your mind.
Lexington Fire Department Captain Melanie Colvin also attended last April.
It's helped me because I had a very traumatic event happen to me at a very young age, and at that age I didn't feel like I had the ability to go to somebody to talk to somebody about it, and so I didn't deal with it for a very, very long time, and that affected a lot of my decisions in life.
Jill Newman was one of the licensed therapists at this week's seminar. She says she got involved in Warriors Rest after a Tecumseh police officer was shot and killed during a traffic stop 5 years ago. She also had a close family member who was a cop for 2 decades, who she says drank himself to death.
He had unresolved trauma, and he was in the era of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just deal with it. And so he had numerous traumas that he never resolved and never got help for. And because of that, that resulted in the destruction of his family and ultimately taking his life.
Shawnee-based therapist Stacy Stevens was also a resource here.
Talk to somebody, because the things that come with this job you don't have to live with. It's not a life sentence. You can get assistance by talking to a peer or going a step further and talking to a licensed counselor or coming to a 3-day seminar to work through some of those things.
Oklahoma Christian University Police Chief Greg Giltner knows a little bit about all of this. He retired as chaplain for Oklahoma City Police in 2015. After 27 years with the department, he got help after the Murrah building bombing in 1995.
When I started in 1988, we didn't have anything like this. We didn't have anything in place that would be PCIS. We didn't have anything like that. Back then, if one of us was on a call that was difficult and we made a comment, man, that bothered me, sometimes you'd be taken off the street. Or if it got to the point where I need help, the 3 things that identify us as a cop is our badge, gun, and commission card. And those 3 things would be pulled and you'd be put on restricted duty somewhere else. I've got a son on the department now, Steve. He's been on the department a year. I worry about these young guys. You know, when I started out, we didn't have this. So to have this in place now, to know that it's okay to talk when you've seen a traumatic incident, when you've been involved in a deadly force situation as a firefighter, when you've had to pull bodies out of a burning house, when you're a paramedic that's had the last pulse of a person's being in your hand, and then you try to go to sleep at night and you can't. There's help now.
And by the way, a legislative committee has approved using pandemic relief funds to build a state-of-the-art holistic health and fitness center for first responders and military members. The House is expected to take that up in special session scheduled for next week.